Okay, this is part 5 of Champion Day. Seriously, I should be used to my nightmares by now. This time I dream about me and Eden at a San Francisco hospital. A doctor's fitting Eden with a new pair of glasses. We end up at a hospital at least once a week so that they can monitor how Eden's eyes are slowly adjusting to medication, but this is the first time I see the doctor and smile encouragingly at my brother. Must be a good sign, yeah? Eden turns to me, grins, and puffs his chest out in an exaggerated gesture. I have to laugh. "How does it look?" he asks me, fiddling with his huge new frames. His eyes still have that weird pale purple color, and he can't focus on me, but I notice that he can now make out things like the walls around him and the light coming in from the windows. My heart jumps at the sight. Progress. "You look like an 11-year-old owl," I reply, walking over to ruffle his hair. He giggles and bats my hand away. As we sit together in the office waiting for paperwork, I watch Eden busily folding pieces of paper together into some kind of elaborate design. He has to hunch close to the papers to see what he's doing, his broken eyes almost crossed with concentration, his fingers nimble and deliberate. I swear, this kid's always making something or other. "What is it?" I ask him after a while. He's concentrating too hard to answer me right away. Finally, when he tucks one last paper triangle into the design, he holds it up and gives me that cheeky grin. "Here," he says, pointing to what looks like a paper leaf sticking out of the ball of paper. "Pull this." I do as he says. To my amazement, the design transforms into an elaborate 3D paper rose. I smile back at him in my dream. Pretty impressive. Eden takes his paper design back. In that instant, an alarm blares throughout the hospital. Eden drops the paper flower and jumps to his feet. His blind eyes are wide open in terror. I glance through the hospital's windows where doctors and nurses have gathered. Out along the horizon of San Francisco, a row of colonies' airships sail closer and closer to us. The city below them burns from a dozen fires. The alarm deafens me. I grab Eden's hand and rush out of the room. "We have to get out of here," I shout. When he stumbles, unable to see where he's going, I hoist him onto my back. People rush all around us. I reach the stairwell, and there, a line of Republic soldiers stops us. One of them pulls Eden off my back. He screams, kicking out at people he can't see. I struggle to free myself from the soldiers, but their grip is ironclad, and my limbs feel like they're sinking into deep mud. "We need him," some unrecognizable voice whispers into my ear. "He can save us all." I scream out loud, but no one can hear me. Off in the distance, the colony's airships aim at the hospital. Glass shatters all around us. I feel the heat of fire. On the floor lies Eden's paper flower, its edges crisping from flames. I can no longer see my brother. He's gone. He's dead. A pounding headache pulls me from my sleep. The soldiers vanish, the alarm silences, the chaos of the hospital disappears into the dark blue hue of our bedroom. I try to take a deep breath and look around for Eden, but the headache stabs into the back of my skull like an ice pick, and I bolt upright with a gasp of pain. Now I remember where I really am. I'm in a temporary apartment back in Denver, the morning after seeing June. On the bedroom dresser sits my usual transmission box, the station still tuned to one of the airwaves I thought the Patriots might have been using. "Daniel." In the bed next to mine, Eden stirs. Relief hits me even in the midst of my agony. Just a nightmare, like always, just a nightmare. "Are you okay?" It takes me a second to realize that dawn hasn't quite arrived. The room still looks dark, and all I can see is my brother's silhouette against the bluish black of the night. I don't answer right away. Instead, I swing my legs over the side of the bed to face him and clutch my head in both hands. Another jolt of pain hits the base of my brain. "Get my medicine," I mutter to Eden. "Should I get Lucy?" "No, don't wake her," I reply. "Lucy's already had 2 sleepless nights because of me. Medicine." The pain makes me ruder than usual, but Eden jumps out of bed before I can apologize. He immediately starts fumbling for the bottle of green pills that always sits on the dresser between our beds. He grabs it and holds out the bottle in my general direction. "Thanks." I take it from him, pour 3 pills into my palm with a shaking hand. I try to swallow them. Throat's too dry. I push myself up from the bed and stagger toward the kitchen. Behind me, Eden utters another. "Are you sure you're okay?" But the pain in my head is so strong that I can hardly hear him. I can hardly even see. I reach the kitchen sink and turn the faucet on, cup some water into my hands, and drink it down with the medicine. Then I slide down to the floor in the darkness, resting my back against the cold metal of the refrigerator door. It's okay, I console myself. My headaches have worsened over the past year, but the doctors assured me that these attacks should last no longer than a half hour each time. Of course, they also told me that if any of them felt unusually severe, I should be rushed to the emergency room right away. So every time I get one, I wonder if I'm experiencing a typical day or the last day of my life. A few minutes later, Eden stumbles into the kitchen with his walking meter on, the device beeping whenever he gets too close to a wall. Maybe we should ask Lucy to call the doctors, he whispers. I don't know why, but the sight of Eden feeling his way through the kitchen sends me into a fit of low, uncontrollable laughter. Man, look at us, I reply. My laughter turns into coughs. What a team, yeah? Eden finds me by placing a tentative hand on my head. He sits beside me with his legs crossed and gives me a wry grin. Hey, with your metal leg and half a brain and my 4 leftover senses, we almost make a whole person. I laugh harder, but it makes the pain of my headache that much worse. When did you turn so sarcastic, little boy? I give him an affectionate shove. We stay hunched in silence for the next hour as the headache goes on and on. I'm now writhing in pain. Sweat soaks my white-collar shirt and tears streak my face. Eden sits next to me and grips my hand in his small ones. Try not to think about it, he urges under his breath, squinting at me from his pale purple eyes. He pushes his black-rimmed glasses farther up his nose. Bits and pieces of my nightmare come back to me. Images of his hand getting yanked out of mine. Sounds of his screams. I squeeze his hand so tightly that he winces. Don't forget to breathe. The doctor always says taking deep breaths is supposed to help, right? Breathe in, breathe out. I close my eyes and try to follow my little brother's commands, but it's harder to hear him at all through the pounding of my headache. The pain is excruciating, all-consuming, a white-hot knife stabbing repeatedly into the back of my brain. Breathe in, breathe out. Here's the pattern. First, there's a dull, numbing ache, followed shortly by the absolute worst pain you can ever imagine going into your head. A spear shoved through your skull, and the impact of it is so hard that your entire body goes stiff. It lasts for a solid 3 seconds, followed by a split second of relief, and then it repeats itself all over again. How long has it been? I gasp out to Eden. Dim blue light is slowly filtering in from the windows. Eden pulls out a tiny square comb and presses its lone knob. Time, he asks it. The device immediately responds, 0530. Stop. He puts it away, a concerned frown on his face. It's been almost an hour. Has it gone on this long before? I'm dying. I really am dying. It's times like this when I'm glad that I don't see much of June anymore. The thought of her seeing me sweating and dirty on my kitchen floor, clutching my baby brother's hand for dear life like some weepy weakling, while she's breathtaking in her scarlet gown and jewel-studded hair. For that matter, in this moment, I'm even relieved that Mom and John can't see me. When I moan from another excruciating stab of pain, Eden pulls out his comm again and presses the knob. That's it. I'm calling the doctors. When the comm beeps, prompting him for his command, he says, Day needs an ambulance. Then, before I can protest, he raises his voice and calls out for Lucy. Seconds later, I hear Lucy approach. She doesn't turn the light on. She knows that it only makes my headaches that much worse. Instead, I see her stout silhouette in the darkness and hear her exclaim, Day, how long have you been out here? She rushes over to me and puts one plump hand against my cheek. Then she glances at Eden and touches his chin. Did you call for the doctors? Eden nods. Lucy inspects my face again, then clucks her tongue in a worried disapproval and bustles off to grab a cool towel. The last place I want to be right now is lying in a Republic hospital, but Eden's already placed the call and I'd rather not be dead anyway. My vision has started to blur and I realize it's because I can't stop my eyes from watering nonstop. I wipe a hand across my face and smile weakly at Eden. Damn, I'm dripping water like a leaky faucet. Eden tries to smile back. Yeah, you've had better days, he replies. Hey kid, remember that time when John asked you to be in charge of watering the plants outside our door? Eden frowns for a second, digging through his memories, and then a grin lights up his face. I did a pretty good job, didn't I? You built that little makeshift catapult in front of our door. I close my eyes and indulge in the memory, a temporary distraction from all the pain. Yeah, I remember that thing. You kept lobbing water balloons at those poor flowers. Did they even have any petals left after you were done? Oh man, John was so pissed. He was even madder because Eden was only 4 at the time, and, well, how do you punish your wide-eyed baby brother? Eden giggles. I wince as another wave of agony hits me. What was it that Mom used to say about us? He asks. Now I can tell he's trying to keep my mind on other things, too. I managed to smile. Mom used to say that having 3 boys was kind of like having a pet tornado that talked back. The 2 of us laughed for a moment, at least before I squint my eyes shut again. Lucy comes back with a towel. She places it against my forehead, and I sigh in relief at its cool surface. She checks my pulse and my temperature. Daniel, Eden pipes up while she works. He scoots closer, his eyes still staring blankly off at a spot to the right of my head. Hang in there, okay? Lucy shoots him a critical frown at what his tone implies. Eden, she scolds. More optimism in this house, please. A lump rises in my throat, turning my breath shallower. John's gone, Mom's gone, Dad's gone. I watch Eden with a heavy ache in my chest. I used to hope that since he was the youngest of us boys, he might be able to learn from John's and my mistakes and be the luckiest out of us, maybe make it into a college and earn a good living as a mechanic, that we'd be around to guide him through the difficult times in life. What would happen to him if I were gone too? What happens if he has to stand alone against the Republic? Eden, I suddenly whispered to him, pulling him close. His eyes widened at my urgent tone. Listen close, yeah? If the Republic ever asks you to go with them, if I'm ever not home or I'm in the hospital and they come knocking on our door, don't ever go with them. You understand me? You call me first, you scream for Lucy, I hesitate. You call for June Ibarus. Your princeps-elect? She's not I grimace at another wave of pain. Just do it. Call her. Tell her to stop them. I don't understand. Promise me. Don't go with them whatever you do, okay? My answer's cut short when a jolt of pain hits me hard enough to send me collapsing to the ground, curled up into a tight ball. I choke out a shriek. My head feels like it's being split in two. I even put a trembling hand to the back of my head as if to make sure my brain's not leaking out onto the floor. Somewhere above me, Eden is shouting. Lucy places another call to the doctor, this time frantic. Just hurry, she yells. Hurry! By the time the medics arrive, I'm fading in and out of consciousness. Through a cloud of haze and fog, I feel myself getting lifted off the kitchen floor and carried out of the apartment tower, then into a waiting ambulance that has been disguised to look like a regular police jeep. Is it snowing? A few light flakes drift onto my face, shocking me with pinpricks of coldness. I call out for Eden and Lucy. They respond from somewhere I can't see. Then we're in the ambulance and pulling away. All I see for a long time are blobs of color, fuzzy circles moving back and forth across my vision, like I'm peering through thick, bumpy glass. I try to recognize some of them. Are they people? I sure as hell hope not, otherwise I really must have died, or maybe I'm floating in the ocean and debris is just drifting all around me. That doesn't make any sense, though, unless the doctors just decided to toss me right into the Pacific and forget about me. Where's Eden? They must have taken him away, just like in the nightmare. They dragged him off to the labs. I can't breathe. My hands try to fly up to my throat, but then someone shouts something and I feel weight against my arms pinning me down. Something cold is going down my throat, choking me. Calm down, you're okay, try to swallow. I do as the voice says. Swallowing turns out to be more difficult than I thought, but I finally manage a gulp, and whatever the cold thing is slides right down my throat and into my stomach, chilling me to my core. There, the voice goes on, less agitated now. Should help with any future headaches, I think. He doesn't seem to be talking to me anymore, and a second later another voice chimes in. Seems to be working a little, doctor. I must have passed out again after that, because the next time I wake up, the pattern on the ceiling's different, and late afternoon light is slanting into my room. I blink and look around. The excruciating pain in my head is gone, at least for now. I can also see clearly enough to know I'm in a hospital room. The ever-present portrait of Andon on one wall and a screen against another broadcasting news. I groaned, then closed my eyes and let out a sigh. Stupid hospitals. So sick of them. Patient is awake. I turn to see a monitor near my bedside that recites the phrase. A second later, a real human's voice pops up over its speakers. Mr. Wing, it says. Yeah, I mutter back. Excellent, the voice replies. Your brother will be in shortly to see you. No sooner than a voice clicks off, my door bursts open and Eden comes running in with 2 exasperated nurses hot on his tail. Daniel, he gasped out, you're finally awake. Sure took you long enough. His lack of sight catches up with him. He stumbles against the edge of a drawer before I can warn him, and the nurses have to catch him in their arms to keep him from falling to the floor. Easy there, kid, I call out. My voice sounds tired, even though I feel alert and pain-free. How long was I out? Where is... I pause confused for a moment. That's weird. What was our caretaker's name again? I grasp for it in my thoughts. Lucy. Where's Lucy? I finish. He doesn't answer right away. When the nurses finally situate Eden beside me in bed, he crawls closer to me and flings his arms around my neck. To my shock, I realize that he's crying. Hey, I pat his head. Calm down. It's okay. I'm awake. I thought you weren't going to make it, he murmurs. His pale eyes search for mine. I thought you were gone. Well, I'm not. I'm right here. I let him sob for a little while, his head buried against my chest, his tears blurring his glasses and staining my hospital gown. There's a coping mechanism I've started using recently where I pretend to retreat back into the shell of my heart and crawl out of my body like I'm not really here and am instead observing the world from another person's perspective. Eden's not my brother. He's not even real. Nothing is real. Everything is illusion. It helps. I wait without emotion as Eden gradually composes himself, and then I carefully let myself back into my body. Finally, when he's wiped away the last of his tears, he sits up and burrows in beside me. Lucy's filling out paperwork up front. His voice still sounds a little shaky. You've been out for about 10 hours. They said they had to rush you out of our building through the main entrance. There just wasn't any time to try sneaking you out. Did anyone see? Eden rubs his temples in an attempt to remember. Maybe. I don't know. I can't remember. I was too distracted. I spent all morning out in the waiting room because they wouldn't let me inside. Do you know? I swallow. Have you heard anything from the doctors? Eden sighs in relief. Not really, but at least you're okay now. The doctor said you had a bad reaction to the medicine they put you on. They're taking you off it and trying something different. The way Eden says this makes my heart beat faster. He doesn't fully grasp the reality of the situation. He still thinks that the only reason I'd collapse like that wasn't because I'm getting worse, but because I just had a bad reaction. A sick, sinking feeling hits my stomach. Of course he'd be optimistic about it all. Of course he thinks this is just a temporary setback. I'd been on that damn medication for the last 2 months after the first 2 rounds also stopped working, with all the extra headaches and nightmares and nausea. I'd hoped that the pills had at least done some good, that they were successfully shrinking the problem spot in my hippocampus, their fancy word for the bottom of my brain. Apparently not. What if nothing works? I take a deep breath and put on a smile for my brother. Well, at least they know now. Maybe they'll try something better this time. Eden smiles long, sweet and naive. Yeah. Several minutes later, my doctor comes in and Eden moves back outside to the waiting room. As the doctor talks in a low voice to me about our next options, what treatments they'll try to experiment with next, he also quietly tells me how small of a chance they have. Like I feared, my reaction wasn't just some temporary medicine issue. The medication is slowly shrinking the affected area, the doctor says, but his expression stays grim. Still, the area continues to fester, and your body has begun to reject the old medication, forcing us to search for new ones. We are quite simply racing against the clock day, trying to shrink it enough and pull it out before it can do its worst. I listen to it all with a straight face. His voice sounds like it's underwater, unimportant, and out of focus. Finally, I stop him and say, Look, just tell me straight up, how much longer do I have if nothing works out? The doctor purses his lips, hesitates, and then shakes his head with a sigh. Probably a month, he admits. Maybe 2. We're doing the best we can. A month or 2. Well, they've been wrong in the past. A month or 2 probably means like 4 or 5. Still, I look toward the door where Eden's probably pressed against the wood and trying in vain to hear what we're saying. Then I turn back to the doctor and swallow the lump in my throat. Hold on, I'm sorry. 2 months, I echo. Is there any chance? We might try some riskier treatments, although those have side effects that may be fatal if you react badly to them. A surgery before you're ready will likely kill you. The doctor crosses his arms. His glasses catch the cold fluorescent light and shine in a way that blocks out his eyes entirely. He looks like a machine. I would suggest, Day, that you begin getting your priorities in order. My priorities in order? Prepare your brother for the news, he replies, and settle any unfinished business.